Begin by giving charity today. Charity saves from, here's the coin, here's the charity box. Charity saves from death, and it saves from worse, less severe things also. So be refuah shlema to Menachem Mendel ben Bracha Avivit. My grandson all of a sudden got an infection last night. Good. There we go. And it should bring Moshiach. We need Moshiach now. And let us resume, or let us try to finish what we started the day before. What did we start with? What happened over here? What happened over there? There we go. Yes. Okay. Good. So yesterday, 2 days ago, if you remember, 2 days ago, we began. No, actually, it was yesterday. Right? It seems like 2 days ago. So we began a speech given by the Rebbe in 1960. And this speech talks about this week's Torah portion, which is Shmini. And it asks the question, why is this Torah portion called by the name Shmini? And of course, the obvious answer is because that's what it says. And these are the beginning words of this week's Torah portion. Vayihi b'yom Shmini, it was on the 8th day. But the Rebbe points out a question which is asked by the Kli Yakar, who was Rabbi Ephraim Shlomo Lunchitz, which was like about 300 years ago, something more than that. And he asked the question, there's no such thing as the 8th day. This week's Torah portion is called the 8th day. There's no such thing as the 8th day. What is it referring to? The 8th day of preparation for the tabernacle in the desert. When the tabernacle it was almost 1 year after they got out of Egypt, the tabernacle was finished, and they had to have 7 days of inauguration on that, right? 7 days. And after those 7 days, then they could begin to offer up sacrifices. It was open for the public, so to speak. And so 7 days. What does it mean on the 8th day? Why is it called the 8th day? Last week, we talked about what they did on the 7 days, how they prepared it, Moses prepared it, etc., to inaugurate the altar. And that was it. 7 days. Why 8th day? Why the 8th day? So the rabbi, the Kli Yakar, he's called the Kli Yakar. That's this this commentary on the Torah. It says the Kli Yakar says because the 8th is a special day. It's above Shabbat. It's the day of the circumcision. It's the day of the lute of the Moshiach. The harp of the Moshiach is going to have 8 strings in it, which is not the case in the Holy Temple. It only had 7 strings on it. So the Rebbe explains what was going on. That this is a basic principle in Judaism and a basic function of the Holy Temple, which that began by the tabernacle, but it basically was the same thing. To reveal God in this physical world. And what aspect of God to reveal in this world? Not just a regular blessing, That the essence of God would be revealed in the world. Shabbat, 7th day, that's a blessing. It's a blessing day. And in fact, one part of Shabbat also has a little hint. It says the daytime of Shabbat, there's also a little bit of a feeling, a little bit of a hint at this essence blessing, which is waiting for us. But the 8th day here is above Shabbat. And that's some sort of a incredible, game-changing, life-changing blessing, which is going to change the whole entire world. That everything will be even better than it was when God created it with Adam. That's the true purpose of the Holy Temple. How is this brought about? By our service. We have to work for 7 days. And as we have to do the work of in this world by doing commandments and Torah, etc., in this world. And then the reward is going to be in this world. That's the thing. The reward is going to be in this physical world, a revelation of the essence of God, why God is creating everything. According to Judaism, God is creating everything constantly. Why is God doing that all the time? We'll feel the pleasure of the Creator, the pleasure that God gets out of the world, we'll feel in this physical world. That's the number 8. something totally above the world, and it's like a free gift that God gives to us, but he only gives us this free gift when we do the 7 days of work. So we have to work for the 6,000 years of exile. Okay. The Rebbe says, according to this, now we can also understand the whole idea of this week's Torah portion with Sfirat HaOmer. The Sfirat HaOmer is a commandment. Oh, no, I got the wrong place. The Sfirat HaOmer is a commandment. What's Sfirat HaOmer? It's the longest commandment in Judaism. It's a 49-day commandment. You count every day from Passover until the holiday of Shavuot. Shavuot is when we received the Torah. After the Jews got out of Egypt, 50 days later, they received the Torah. So God gave him a commandment to do what's called Sfirat HaOmer, counting every day. It really only started like officially when they got into the land of Israel, when they offered up the Omer. The Omer was an offering of barley that they offered up. In any case, they offered this barley up the day after Passover. 49 days you counted. 49 days you counted. But this whole idea of counting the Omer took 49 days. 49 days is 7 weeks. Every week, of course, is 7 days. So it's 7 times 7. So just like we finished saying that on the 8th day was this big revelation, and it comes after the 7 days of inauguration. And just like by us, the 8th day, which is Shabbat, is a big blessing of God that comes after, as a result of our 6 days of work. 6 days, actually 7, because the beginning of Shabbat, that's also connected to this lower level. So also the same thing, by means of counting these 7 works, we do the work. We have to do all the work, but the blessing that we get is totally incommensurate to the work we do. So we're doing that commandment right now, right? It's a commandment that we're now doing. We're in the 2nd week of counting. Okay, it says, according to this, now we can understand the connection between this week's Torah portion and the counting of the Omer. Was Bahar Bashanim, which a lot of years, most years, we read Parshat Shmini immediately after Passover, like this year, Passover, in the beginning of the days of the Svirah. Vegan dem mitzvah regarding this commandment of counting the Omer, it says in the Torah, Tispru Chamishim Yom, in the Torah, it says clear that we have to count 50 days. That's what it says in the Torah. It's a commandment in the Torah to count 50 days. But we don't count 50 days. We only count 49. Freckman, the question is, the obvious question, Mensel doch nor 49 tag. We only count 49 days. Unmen far Enford, and the answer to this with the explanation, as the Jews, by means of their counting the Omer for 49 days, by means of our service, Zayin and Mamshik, we draw down the 49 gates of understanding. That's the 7 weeks that we count to ourselves. That's like the 7 days of creation, something like Shabbat. 7 times the level of Shabbat that we read now. But why do them? But because of this, the fact that we count the 7 day, the 7 times 7, 49. We do our work here as Gitman Milamayla, you get from above. Also the 50th gate was Eres Derech Shemini, which is higher than all of the 7 weeks which were previous. The Rebbe, therefore, is the Hamshacha, therefore the drawing down from the 50th day. This is when we receive the Torah. The Torah, Zaman Matan Torah, that's when we receive the Torah. So a normal person could say, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? The drawing down and blessings. What type of blessings are happening in the world? You do a command, you feel a blessing, all of a sudden the person's face starts glowing, or there's a big halo over his head or something. What do you talk? We don't feel any of these things. But in Kabbalah, in the books of Kabbalah, it explains that in fact, every time you do a commandment, every time you do what God wants, that arouses God's pleasure. You do God's will. The Torah is God's will. So God has a will, right? The commandments are God's will. The Torah is God's wisdom. When you do what God wants, then God gets pleasure, and that arouses God, and there's a blessing that comes into the world from that. You feel that blessing? You feel it? Well, I don't feel it personally, but not only that, it's very hard to understand exactly what you're supposed to feel, because in this world, we just feel with our body. But one thing that is true that Judaism has that no other religion has even claims to have, and even anywhere near it, is the Torah. The Jewish people, we claim, and we've been claiming this, we've been giving our lives for this for the last 3,300 years, that God, the creator of the universe, the creator of the spiritual, actually gave the Jewish people publicly in front of them all. They all heard God speak. It wasn't some person came from the desert and he said, I have a new dispensation, or I found a book in the mountains or someplace. Everyone heard God say the 10 Commandments, the first two of the 10 Commandments. Anyway, they heard it. Everybody knew, saw, felt, was aware of, no questions whatsoever, that God exists and that God cares and that God is above the spiritual. All the spiritual worlds opened up, and everyone, every Jew, there was about 3 million Jews there. What is it? 600,000 just men from the age of 20 up. And they all saw it. Now, there's no blessing that's like that. And that same revelation was in the Holy of Holies. And that's what was revealed on the 8th day. And that's what's revealed to us in a little way on the holiday of Shavuot. And that's what's going to be revealed to us in a big way by Moshiach. But it all depends on our work now. Zman Matan Torah, so it's like the giving of the Torah. Vos B'shas Matan Torah, the time of the giving of the Torah, was a me'en, something like the revelation that's going to be in the days of the Mashiach, when the Torah was given. When therefore it says, Tispru Chamishim, therefore it says in the Torah, you have to count 50 days, even though we do not count 50 days, and we can't count 50 days because that's not a commandment. The commandment is only to count 49 days, and that's the end of the whole commandment, the 49-day. Because by means of the 49 days, we get what's called the 50th gate that reveals to the Jews through their service of God. And the whole idea of this revelation is to stress the importance of this physical world. It's the revelation of the creator of the universe. Becomes revealed in this physical world. But emes, and the truth is Sfirat HaOmer, really the counting of the Omer is not only a preparation for the giving of the Torah, which the giving of the Torah is something like the revelation that's going to be in the days of the Moshiach, and then that's eventually going to bring the raising of the dead, but it's a preparation also for the revelation of the future redemption through Moshiach, the awakening of all the Jewish people, and eventually the refinement of the whole world. There won't be any more evil in the world, no more depression or aggression or diseases or wars, or people will worship only the creator of the universe. See, as you do, it's known that the difference, that the creator of the universe who gave the Jews the Torah. Listen, there's 10 commandments, right? Pretty much everybody agrees that the 10 commandments have not been lost. There's all these other religions that say, oh, the Torah was true, but it was lost. But the 10 commandments, pretty much they leave alone. I don't really know what Islam does, I guess. I guess they figured that the whole thing was lost. But in any case, the 10 commandments, the first of the 10 commandments is, I am God that took you out of Egypt. And there's that same revelation of God that took the Jews out of Egypt is awaiting all mankind. That's 10 commandments. We're dealing with the God who took the Jews out of Egypt. And that wasn't just a one-time thing. That revelation is going to be, that's what the Rebbe says again. See, as you do, it's known that what it says, when it says, like the days of going out of Egypt, I will show you miracles. It's a sentence, a prophecy of the prophet Micha. L'chor at first glance is doch der Aroisgan from Mitzrayim, going out of Egypt. It says, like the days of going out of Egypt, I will show you miracles. How many days did it take them to go out of Egypt? One day. And one day, on the 15th day of Nisan, they were out. That's it. They left Egypt. True, the Egyptians ran after them, and they had to wait till the 7th day of Egypt till the sea split. But nevertheless, the 15th day, that's it. They were out of Egypt. So what does it mean, like the days of going out of Egypt? I will show you miracles. As Mavor explains the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe as the full stendike Yetzirah, that the total going out of Egypt, namely going out of Egypt, means going out of all of your own personal hang-ups and limitations and misconceptions about the world, met v'shalom. This totally going out of Egypt will be completed only when in the future redemption. Biz done until then, 3,338 years already. Zayin noch als Faran, Mitzrayim, Gevulim, there are limitations and barriers, Velcha mimozich, friend, you have to free yourself from. In other words, from the year Tav and Nisan, since the 15th day of Nisan, in the year 2448, that's when we received the Torah. We got the Torah. We got the Torah 2,440 years after the world was created. 2448. Since then, 3,000, now it's 3,338 years ago, Halton Yidden could say that we are going out of Egypt. Was weiter geht men als Hecher, and every time we go a little bit higher, biz as karov mamish, soon really there will be the future redemption, and then all of the Jews will go out of Egypt. I said this before, but I'll say it again. When we got out of Egypt, right? So there were some Jews that wanted to go back to Egypt. So you might think that there was some, when we were in Egypt, we didn't have any choice. Either you served Paro or you died. That was it. We got out of Egypt and now we had a choice. There were Jews that wanted to go back to Egypt and the Jews that wanted to serve God. Right? But there was another choice. What's the other choice? Either you go back to Egypt, you be a servant of Paro, or you go further and you become a servant of God, or you can just say, listen, I want to be independent. I don't want Paro, that's for sure. But I don't want to be a servant of God. What do I have to do? I don't want to be anybody's servant. What do I have to be somebody's servant for? I got out of Egypt to be free. And now I'm free. Right? So now we've added on a third option. Either Paro or God or myself. Says that's wrong. There's still only two options. It's just that Paro changed forms. If you're a servant of yourself, you're still a servant of Paro. In other words, you're still limited to the creation. So either you're a servant of the creation or you're a servant of the Creator. So 3,338 years, the Jewish people have been going out of creation. At first, it was this, I say, the exaggerated creation. We were slaves in Egypt. We couldn't fool ourselves to think we were free. And then we got out of Egypt. We could fool ourselves and we've been fooling ourselves for the last 3,338 years, but we've been minimizing this mistake and working on ourselves. That's the whole thing of going out of Egypt, is Jews start to realize that they are Jews. And a Jew is connected only to the creator of the universe. That's what a Jew is. Connected to the creator of the universe. And when they were in Egypt, it was totally concealed. When they got out of Egypt, it was less concealed. Now they weren't, they could choose to serve God if they wanted to. They were free to serve God if they wanted to. You don't want to serve God, then it means that you're still in Egypt. And again, to remind everybody that God is not a biblical character, not only a biblical, he's also a biblical character, of course, but God is creating us. You want to be in tune with your Creator and perfect the creation. That's called going out of Egypt. The Erster of order, the first thing that the Jews did as soon as they got out of Egypt, before got out of Egypt, the land of Egypt was counting the Omer. In other words, this idea of counting the Omer, counting every single day, and of the approaching to receiving the Torah, this is the first step that we take in order to fulfill this prophecy of Isaiah, of Micha, like the days of going out of Egypt. I will show you miracles. The days of going out of Egypt, the first day that we actually left Egypt was by counting the Omer. So their Geula, this is the preparation, also the preparation for the future redemption. That's going to be the number 8. Al Pizeh, according to this, Fetman Verstehen, we now can understand the reason why counting the Omer, we count, when we say counting the Omer, we count only in the nighttime. And the daytime goes after the nighttime. Now, all the work that was done in the holy temple was done in the daytime. The hakrovas from the Omer, the sacrificing, the bringing the Omer into the holy temple, they would bring a bundle of wheat and they would cook it, sacrifice it, bake it, etc. This was, and they also brought a sacrifice together with it, but this was done in the daytime. The sacrificing of the Omer, this is like a sacrifice. They're bringing this bundle of barley. They would cut it and they would bring it in the morning. Is by the sacrifices is the law as halayla holech achrei yom. It says by the sacrifices, the nighttime comes after the day. The night comes after the day. The day is when we serve God. By Sfirat HaOmer is the only sacrifice, so to speak, in the temple, which Alpi, not only that, almost all the commandments are done in the daytime. But you don't put on tefillin in the day in the nighttime. You don't put on a talit in the nighttime. Almost all the commandments are done in the daytime. Almost all of them. Shabbat begins, and we'll see, is afalpi, but the service in the Holy Temple was in the daytime. But counting the Omer, afalpi, even though that is one of the things that you count 40 days from going Vifil Tug, how many days is it? go out from, since we counted, we sacrificed the Omer, and the Omer was sacrificed in the daytime, like all the other services and sacrifices were done in the daytime. That bundle of barley, it was brought in the daytime to the Holy Temple, and we're counting the Omer. So you think you should start counting every morning, like all the other commandments, start in the morning. From this vegan, nevertheless, as Dr. Din, the law is that the day goes after the night. The nighttime is first. Is doch nit verstandig, it's not understood. Vibalt is the Sephira, because the counting of the Omer is silent to count the days from the bringing of the Omer, and the Omer was brought in the daytime. Is for vos zol doch din, their din, why is it that the law is that the Sephira, the Omer, is different from all the other sacrifices? Right? The counting of the Omer is different. Counting the Omer, you start in the nighttime. Why? Is there beer? The explanation is very simple. Is the oiftu from the Geula, the whole thing of the future redemption, which is going to be even better than that when they left Egypt, is and even better than going out of Egypt and receiving the Torah, is that by going out of Egypt, when did the Jewish people leave Egypt? It says the smiting of the firstborn was in the middle of the night, but when the Jews actually leave Egypt, it says muktam in the morning. Splitting of the sea was also giving of the Torah. Giving of the Torah was in the daytime. It was all in the daytime. The Jews left Egypt, they received the Torah in the daytime. It says also by going out of Egypt is a fila by Matan Torah, and even by the receiving of the Torah is the Gilui, the revelation was from above to below. And this is not by means of any service. The Jews didn't have to do anything. God just did everything. He took them out of Egypt, gave them the Torah. Baruch, because Chach get sailed, even though the Jewish people did count Sfirat Omer in order to receive the Torah 50 days after leaving Egypt, is Ober Meshech Hazak Kurza Zeit, such a short amount of time, is Nitkev and Shech was not relevant that they should go out by means of their own service from the 49 gates of impurity where they were, 49 gates of selfishness that they were when they were in Egypt. When oif azoy feel, then they should be so It's not relevant that 50 days after they left Egypt, they should be so refined that they should be fitting to receive the Torah. They counted the Omer, but they really weren't ready to receive the Rebbe. So God did everything on his own. God took them out of Egypt. God gave them the commandments. God gave them the Torah. Everything was from above to below. The Rebbe, therefore, it says, no, it says that there was the trumpet was sounded. God sounded a trumpet. Moshiach Yovel is Nach Matan Torah. After the giving of the Torah, is developed. The world began just like it remained the same way as it was before. The Jewish people got out of Egypt, and the Torah was given, but it didn't change the world, and it didn't really change the Jewish people. Business is had the Dernach gekent Zion, because how do we see that afterwards there was the sin of the golden calf? The Jewish people essentially did not change. The shorish, the source from all the sin of the golden calf, that's the source of all the sins that happened afterwards. Masha'inkin, which is not the case in the future redemption that we've been waiting for, should happen any instant now. Because this future redemption is coming after the service the Jewish people have been serving God and suffering and believing and praying for 3,300 plus years, which began since they left Egypt, to Mezachik, in order to refine them, not only to refine themselves, but also every single Jew and every single portion in the world. As the world will be, by means of this, a vessel to receive the revelation from above, is a phenemius in an inner, personal, day-to-day way. Like it says, Venigla kavod avaya, v'ru'u kol basar, like it says, that God will be revealed and all flesh will see godliness. It's in Isaiah. As oich de basar, even the physical flesh will see the glory of God. That's what Moshiach is going to bring. The revelation of the essence of God to every single human being in the world. All flesh will see the Creator that's creating them. Because our service cannot possibly bring such a future revelation. We're expecting it to come, but we can't do anything really to bring it. Says the Rebbe, not so fast. The service that we've been doing for the last 3,300 plus years, that's refining us, that we will be fitting to receive this big revelation that God's going to give. Even though nothing we could possibly do could possibly earn us this amazing revelation, nevertheless, like we said before, after we do our part, what we're supposed to do, then the revelations will come from above. Like we said, counting the Omer brought the giving of the Torah. The counting, the 7 days of preparation for the tabernacle, that brought the 8th day. That's the name of this week's Torah portion. And in order from at the Ruta de Leila, then there will be a revelation from above by God, but it'll be in a different way of the giving of the Torah. The giving of the Torah was a big revelation, but we weren't ready to receive it. Now we are ready to receive it. Kum Toisa comes out as the revelations that are going to be in the future redemption. They have two opposite sides. First of all, it's revealed a light which is totally higher than anything in the world can possibly receive. And number two is Dachvet, but it'll only be revealed only by means of our service, and then it'll be revealed in an inside way. We'll be able to, yes, receive it. Because the counting of the Omer is the Erster Avod, is the first service of zu greaten sich to preparation for the future redemption. Maybe give an example. I'll just make up an example here, but I'll give you an example. Let's say you take a person from the street up, a total, they say a derelict, a poor person living in the garbage, right? He eats food from the garbage and hasn't changed his clothes for like 20 years. He's just hoping somebody will give him maybe $1 or something like that instead of a penny or something like that. and they come to him and they say, excuse me, what's your name? My name is Joe Gross. You have been appointed to be the king of the whole country. The army is at your command. The economy is at your command. The people are at your command. You rule the whole entire country. 200 million servants are willing to listen to you. This is what are you talking about? I mean, you give how much you're going to give me? Can you give me $2? $2 donation? That would really make me happy. $2. My friend, you begin the king. Take him in, wash him up, put him on the royal clothes. He doesn't know what to do. He doesn't know how to rule anything. He can't make any decisions. Got to make these big, super decisions. He's ruling over the whole other guys. No idea whatsoever what you're talking about. And especially you can throw in that the person was blind and he was deaf and he was crippled. It was everything. And all of a sudden they make him a king and they give him his sight back and his ears and he can't hear. He doesn't know what to talk about. Well, that's what the future redemption is going to be. It's going to be a revelation of the essence of God, how God appoints every single one of us to be a king. We're connected to the king of the universe. Every human being, every decision we make is an earth-shaking decision. Every human being. No one is ready for that. We're not ready for a thing like that. It says, oh, yes, we are. By means of the 3,300 years of suffering that the Jewish people have done, and you have to remember that we are incarnations of the previous generations, is the Jewish people will be ready to receive such a revelation, and through them, the non-Jews will also receive. In other words, we don't know our potential. Just like this person, the blind, deaf, crippled, the poor man in the street doesn't have any idea. You don't know who you are. You in potential, you are a king. And it won't take any time to get used to it. Here we had enough time. We got 3,000 years. From them was there the schar from because this reward from our service is in such a way of a gift. Is the geula, therefore the future redemption that we're all working for, we're all going crazy for. This is a rai, is a proof, as oich der avoda, also the service, there must be also these two opposites. We have to have now what we do now. You do a commandment, you put on tefillin, you keep Shabbos, you give charity. Their inyan from Sfira to Omer, the whole idea of counting the Omer is to count the days from the sacrifice. What are we doing? The sacrifice was made in the daytime. So therefore, it was made in the daytime in the temple. So therefore, we're drawing the holiness of the sacrifice into the world. Nevertheless, when do we actually count? The actually counting is in the nighttime. That's like the order of creation. When God created the world, how did God create the world? First of all came the nighttime, and then came the morning. That's how, look in the Bible. God counted the days from the nighttime first. So in the nighttime first, so we have to draw, we do the counting of the Omer in the nighttime first. In other words, according to the order of creation, we're drawing this holy revelation of the Omer, which was done in the daytime, and we're counting it in the nighttime. Like it says in the beginning was darkness, and after is light. Their tug, the daytime, comes after the nighttime. Their beer in them. The explanation is by Kiddush and by holy things, by the sacrifices, the order is that the nighttime is second. That comes after the day. As Farkir, this is the opposite of the way of creating the world. And when God created the world, first of all was evening and then was daytime. Val der Seder, because the order of serving God is, and the creation was from below to above. God creating the world, true, God did it all, but he was trying to show us that that's what the world is. The world is that darkness is supreme. Darkness. Darkness rules. Darkness is dominant. Therefore, the world, creating the world, begins with darkness. When Durach Avodah, by means of our service, as Darfman Mezachich, we can refine the world. And then the world becomes a vessel for light, the light of God, the Creator. Oh, but by Kadshim, but in the Holy Temple is exactly the opposite. In the Holy Temple, everything was from above to below. You start off with light. Meheptan mit or, you begin with light. You go into the Holy Temple, everything is automatically holy. When oich der Laila, and therefore even the nighttime, this comes after the daytime in the Holy Temple. It says an avoda, this is a service of refinement. Was kumt mitzad dem gila, which comes from the revelation of light. The gila, the revelation of light, gives a power to to take the darkness and refine it. That's the purpose of the Holy Temple. So again, let's just take one step back over here. We're not talking about heaven. We're talking about something infinitely higher than heaven. Heaven is just like a consolation prize. If Adam had not eaten from the tree, and if the Jews had not served the golden calf, there would be no death in the world. No one would go to heaven. This world would be perfect. Says the Rebbe, it's even more perfect. The more that the exile schleps on, the more refined the world becomes, and the more we are vessels to receive the true essence revelation of God in a permanent way. Spirit the Omer, counting, that's the idea of counting the Omer. Counting the Omer, which this is refining the world from below to above, to refine the world in a way that it becomes a vessel for God. Like I said, counting the Omer is one of the few commandments that are only done in the nighttime. It's the longest commandment in Judaism, and the whole thing is done in the nighttime. Say that the whole idea is, first of all, you start from the darkness, and afterwards you go to the light. We refine the darkness of the world in a way from below to above. Oberdach is the Sphira, but we have to remember that counting the Omer, this is just a continuation of the sacrificing of the Omer, of bringing this barley to the temple, but that was done in the daytime. In other words, the beginning starts from pure holiness, the daytime does haste. This means, as in their avoda, the service of counting the Omer, there is the power of holiness. It starts off holy. Revelation of God from above. Okay, now what I'm telling you now is 99% faith. We have faith that this is happening. We have faith that it's happening. But there are people like the Rebbe, for instance, that actually are certain without any doubt that this is happening. And that's what the Rebbe is explaining to us. That there is a possibility that you too will be certain of what's happening, because it's true. It's really happening. And when we count the Omer from this world, we do a commandment. In fact, any commandment that we do in this world, it refines the world. But especially, this is especially noticeable in the commandment of counting the Omer. Because counting the Omer was from going out of total darkness, which was Egypt, and coming closer and closer to the truth when we received the Torah. The same thing has also been for the last 3,300 years. We left Egypt, we received the Torah, and now we're refining ourselves. But it all began, don't forget, it all began by going out of Egypt. We just finished celebrating that God gives us the power to do it. God started off. The essence of Judaism is miracles. Miracles. God took us out of Egypt. God, the creator of the universe, took the Jews you see running around in the streets that everybody hates and they're talking about in all the media and everything about the Jews are bad and the Jews are this and the Jews that. Those same Jews that you see today walking around the street, those Jews are direct relatives and immediate representatives of those same exact Jews that left Egypt. No difference. And just like those Jews got out of Egypt because of big miracles and they received the Torah because of big miracles, also us Jews now, we can await amazing miracles in this world to make the world what it's supposed to be, a beautiful, pure, godly place. But in a way we can't conceive now. It's only faith now. Vosvet nimshach, which will be drawn down by means of the counting of the Omer. and it'll be drawn down into a panemiat way, into an inner, in a personal way in the world. The Gula Amiti Tashlema, and the true redemption now by means of Mashiach Tzidkenu, Bikor of Mamosh, immediately now by means of the Mashiach. Mashiach, I have pictures. Okay. Any second now. All right. Now, story. Here we go. Let's. Yeah.
Rabbi, will